Hello and welcome to Healing Tips from the Heart, Intuition with Helpers, Healers, and Guides. I am your host, Dr. Lori Hops, licensed psychologist, writer, and artist. I've explored mind, body, and spirit related to intuition, or your personal guidance system, since early childhood. Meet my guests who have learned from their personal and professional lives to explore vast realms of knowing, synchronicities, and overcoming challenges. Their stories may inspire you with tools to enhance your daily living and relationships. Hello, everyone, and welcome my special guest today, Tapas Fleming, licensed acupuncturist. A little bit about her. Tapas facilitated personal growth for many, many years. And around sometime in her journeys, she became very interested in physical and energetic healing. And we may hear more about how that started. This led to her becoming a licensed acupuncturist with her practice in 1987, specializing in the treatment of allergies. She then was looking for a simple, effective treatment for a variety of issues and came upon this wonderful technique that's an approach and model that she's been developing for many years, since 1993, called Tapas Acupressure technique. And she realized that the allergic reactions were more complicated than just that, and that she was able to uncover and help people with a multitude of issues, especially relating to past stressful or traumatic experiences, in an easy and gentle way that can be led by others and also self-administered. And now we know her as one of the founding members of this entire field of energy practices. And she's still going strong with amazing resources for people. She has taught hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And I get to welcome her today. I'd like you to know that I have met her many years ago through the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology. And I have shared the podium with her with speaking engagement that we had at one of the conferences, and have had contact with her in different variety of settings and worked together and so on. So she is a heart of gold, and I'm so happy to have you here today. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Lori. I'm so excited to be with you and all our listeners.
Fabulous. So for those who don't know you, or maybe those who need a little refresher, could you tell a little bit about your story of how did this beautiful contribution to the world come to be?
Sure. Well, like you said, it was 1993. And before that, I had learned a technique, NAET, non-Buterpod's allergy elimination technique, for helping people get over allergies. But several of my clients were so sick that just driving to see me and driving through traffic would make them sick. They were super sick people, like allergic to everything. And they were also pretty poor. So I was always trying to think, well, how can I come up with something that's going to serve people that'll be faster, easier, cheaper for them? That was in the back of my mind. And so I'm doing these allergy techniques with people as an acupuncturist. And I had a woman come in one day who was allergic to salt. And I was like, oh my God, how can you live being allergic to salt? So I did the variation that I'd come up with. I've just kept changing NAET to make it simpler, smaller, more effective. And so I was doing that with this patient. And when we were done, she said, I've been in therapy for about 9 years. She was in her late 50s. She said because I was sexually abused in a bar, and
Oh,
afterwards, each time, I was given a bag of potato chips. And it was like, ding, oh my God, the
oh,
salt of the potato chips and the trauma, her body just from then on was like, this is bad for me. Nope. So she said, this is the first time I can think of that entire period of my life, and
mm,
I have no emotional charge on it.
wow.
So I'm like, I'm just trying to help her get over her salt allergy, and this was the thing that happened. And meanwhile, when I was younger, I had been in and out of close relationships, and I kept thinking, how come I keep ending up with a guy who's like my dad when I think he's
Mm,
not? And
mm,
and there were things I didn't like about my dad. So it was this, how come uh, I keep doing the same stupid things, basically,
yeah,
when I know better?
right.
What's up with this pattern? So that was with me. And when that happened with this client, I realized I've just found a way that I can deal with just trauma. I don't have to deal with an allergy. I can just deal with straight past trauma and resolve it. So that was a huge answer to a prayer that I had of
Wow.
why do I keep doing these same stupid things? So so I can say I've now been in a super happy relationship for uh, about 23 years now. It's been incredibly happy. Yes. So yeah, it worked, and helping people be free from those kind of the seeds of what creates negative patterns when like we know better but we can't do better
Mm-hmm.
was always more of a passion to me than helping people get over allergies.
Okay.
So that's the direction things flowered into. And I just, through working with people, found things that were really essential, like including forgiveness for ourselves and others.
Yeah.
So the TAT, then the TAT pose itself came to me after taking a long nap on a slow day in my acupuncture practice. I woke up with what one of my acupuncture professors said, which was that all of the meridians join and enter the brain right here.
Can you describe that for our listeners? Because they may not be able to,
Oh,
sure, they can't
yes.
see what you've done. Thank you.
Thanks, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so right here means, and there's a point just above, like an eighth of an inch above the upper inner corner of each eye,
So on the other, on either side
both
of
sides.
the nose bridge.
Right. So, yeah, it's just above the upper inner corner of the eye. And then, so I started using that and found out it made my treatments uh, more effective. And then I was telling one patient about it, and he said, oh, my little Tai Chi master from China told me that if I ever had a headache, I could touch those 2 points
Mm-hmm.
plus the between the eyebrows and about a half inch above. So it's a point that's in Chinese medicine, and it's also the front of the sixth chakra, the third eye area. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh, well, I'll incorporate that and see how that works. So that helped also.
Mm-hmm.
And then a friend of mine was telling me about brain integration through vision therapies. And I thought, maybe if I put my hand at the brain's vision center at the base of the skull and across the occipital ridge back there, it would help
Above
enhance.
the back of the neck.
Yes. So hand centered. Yes. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
So those two together turned out to be an incredibly powerful technique. I wrote I wrote a Taoist master acupuncturist who's been that since the Han Dynasty, father to son, and said, basically, what is this? And he said, "Oh, wonderful to hear from you. And your personal discovery truly aligns with ancient knowledge. May your successful practice make you rich and happy." So, yeah, so that's basically it. And then the things that need to be communicated to our greater being have arisen out of my practice with people. So that's basically it. And
Wow.
kind of a way in short to think about it is that these points together are like the hand in front plus the other hand at the base of the skull. So yeah, are kind of like a USB port. And what
Okay.
you think, what your attention's on, your whole body, mind, entire being receive the information and update. For instance, you had a trauma, you're over it, you're okay now, is kind of the short of what part of what we're communicating. Then everything changes, the chemistry, everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. I love that it came upon you. As you were talking, I was thinking about Pad's allergy treatment and how she also fell asleep and came across her, right? I have her book, and so I was
That's
reading.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I was also thinking about Roger Callahan, who started um, thought field therapy, and how he had a client who was afraid of water. So here we have the basic element water, and with you, salt. Um, and
Yeah.
then yeah, and then there are other aspects of coming across things through being responsive and listening and investigating, and that the proof is in the pudding. Like, you didn't have a theory, you had an approach. So, you don't start off with, I wonder if there's a theoretical understanding between Chinese medicine and, da, da, da. You're like, oh, this helps, this might help. Oh, it helps other people too. And it's through that experimenting and learning and trying and seeing when you're wrong and when you're on track,
Yeah.
and tinkering with it, that
Yeah.
that these things are born. And so it's just kind of interesting because I know several of the streams, and I can see like themes that are being repeated here. How
Yeah.
beautiful that you asked for clarity um, from founding arenas, from
Yeah.
masters, from those who that modern science is based upon,
Yeah.
and in a sense asked for permission also. I mean, you didn't say that right now, but I'm getting the sense that you're like, I want to be out with this, figuring out what is this. And you were really given a blessing to go ahead with it, which that might not have been the case. So I just wanted to thank you for that, because
Hmm.
not everyone does that.
Hmm. Yes. And part of my intention was, and wondering was, is this just for me or can I share it?
Yeah,
I wanted to teach it. It was so powerful to
yeah,
have somebody who was allergic to something not be allergic for the rest of their lives, whatever, 45 minutes later. It's like, whoa, is this okay?
yeah. It's so powerful. And to recognize, now more commonly, people are recognizing the role of trauma in origin stories of all kinds of dis-ease and misalignments and so on.
Yeah.
So how shocking maybe for you when you stumbled upon it. Not only is the allergy gone, but the trauma story is coming out and the memories coming back. Logosynthesis has that same kind of story of
Mm,
the amnesia for the trauma until the healing happens, and then the memory comes back in.
mm,
And you're
mhm.
able to learn from it. It's not just, oh, I got re-traumatized by remembering, but oh, I have perspective now and
Yeah.
I can let it go.
Hmm.
Updating the brain, it's and taking the ancient learning of trauma and saying, what's contemporary? I'm
Hmm.
fine, I'm safe, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have to suffer with this any longer.
Hmm. In her case, she had remembered, but she didn't have a way to heal it.
Okay.
So in the session, she told me about all that therapy she'd gone to, and that it hadn't really resolved things. And this one session to help her with salt ended all that. She said, all the negative charge is gone from that now. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
sure.
That is so true. So this speaks to the whole somatic aspect of the energy practices, that we can do a lot of talk therapy and thinking and keep it from the neck up. And that, well, your hold is different because it's an energetic thing. It happens to be placed on the head, but it's not only a cognitive process, it's a physical process. It's a somatic and energetic process. And when you combine that with all these other aspects, it unlocks.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I wanted to talk about how some of the steps of TAT were developed through a refined, what you could call intuition. For a long time, I have been able to see things in energetic fields, which has
Okay.
developed over years. But one of the things that happened was I worked with a woman whose mother had died in her arms.
Mm.
She had a horrible relationship with her mother. It was just, so that moment was, as she was telling me, I could see there was a big empty space in front of her where she was holding her mother right in front of her, like a vacant space.
Wow.
So I realized, oh, well, the spaces, the places in our energetic fields, in our body, wherever, that we've been holding trauma
Mm.
need to be addressed.
Mhm.
I came up with this statement that all the places in your mind, body, and life where this has been stored are healing now. And when I told her a statement like that, it was like I could see sunlight and energies just starting to fill it up from the perimeter and heal. So the part of the whole process of developing TAT for me has been because of things that I see, which is developed over years of just being with a person, having my attention on them, what's going on, and having things said to me like by their physical heart or
Mhm.
shown to me, and then incorporating it into a simple process that anyone can do by using what's the valuable information that needs to be communicated that arises from that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What a gift to be able to see. Not everyone can. And I like to point out that seeing is only one way of being intuitive. So people who out there thinking, I can't see, so I'm not intuitive, it's not necessarily true. But how beautiful that you do have that inner vision,
Mhm.
or second sight,
Yeah.
to be able to literally see and see the effects of the intervention
Mhm.
right in the moment. So then it's like hot and cold game, or you're getting closer or you're farther away from the goal. You get feedback right away, like, oh, there's the sunlight coming in, filling in the
Right,
space.
right, exactly. Yeah.
Lovely. And we don't always have to know where or how it's filling up or where it comes from or the spaces and places,
No,
just
we
the
don't.
intention of it.
Totally. It's just information and it's communicated to our entire being.
Mm.
Everything updates like, oh, good, got it. Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Move on.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, mostly people just say, oh, I feel lighter. I feel happier. That's it.
You're like good to go. So
Yeah.
so I was drawing some comparisons to other modalities, but what about your approach is different?
Well, one of the things is nobody has to think about what happened. Like some people just know, oh, something happened and I kind of have this vague feeling about it. Or some people are like, oh, it's so awful.
Mhm.
I don't even want to talk about it. So you don't, with this approach, you don't have to have any of your attention on what happened. And if
Okay.
it's really awful, you can stick it in a box and put a big lock on it. So you don't have to see it, feel it. You don't have to feel anything. You don't have to figure anything out.
Mhm.
You just basically do the pose, put your attention on these statements, come along for the ride. And if you even notice nothing,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it works.
Mm.
So yeah.
What a relief.
Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Did you have something you talked a little bit about your journey.
Mhm.
Is there something that you'd like to share about your own journey with this or with helpers or healers or guides? Sometimes things come in, other ways of knowing
Oh yeah.
or personal encounters. I
Yeah.
don't want to delve into your personal life, that anything you don't want to share, but there might be something that you can share that other people can relate to or find interest in.
For sure. The most significant thing for me really was that when I was 15, it was the first time I heard the question, who am I?
Mm,
And I went, oh, I have to know. I have to know that. I have to experience who I am. I don't know. So I started off in the journey for um, self-enlightenment, as it was called then, and still is. I mean, for direct experience of who I am.
mm,
And actually had my first experience of that back in 1968 when I was 16 at a enlightenment intensive. And that changed everything because I experienced that my own nature is outside of time and space,
mm,
is absolutely pure, perfect, eternal. Um, those are the core things I could say about it, so that it put everything in an incredibly great perspective. So even though, so I'd had that experience, so part of my question, like, why do I keep doing these same stupid things, was like, wait a minute, I've had this experience. Shouldn't it straighten everything out in my whole life right now? And it didn't. So I was looking for what can dissolve the nature of things that I'm attached to or stuck with. It was a
mm,
big question. Um, so it also makes it, having that kind of experience makes it so that working with someone, I never see them as a messed up person, ever. Even if they're, a perpetrator, they've done bad things to other people,
mhm,
or it's like, oh, yeah, so this is what happened for you. This is the situation you're in. Okay, let's clear that up. So it just gives me that uh, constant feeling of we're connected, just, you could say, in an absolutely pure, timeless way. And it's
mm,
as though, almost as though we're in heaven looking down at this life going, oh, look what happened to you. Let's help you now. It's kind of has that, almost a feeling like that. And it gives me as a practitioner so much acceptance and compassion, because it's like, yeah, okay, that happened. So for anyone who has an inkling of, that's an important question to find out, not just as an answer, but as a direct experience. My 100% heartfelt encouragement to you to do that, pursue that.
yeah.
And yeah, and then other than that, just really being real with what I'm seeing, hearing, and feeling about myself first, and clearing those things up.
Mhm,
The more I've cleared up my own past blah blah,
mhm,
then then I'm more like a quiet lake. And so when I'm with someone who's telling me their stuff, it's just rippling through my whole being, and it's just their stuff. It isn't triggering unfinished mess over here. So it makes it
right.
very clear. So yeah, working on your own stuff and that experience of who you are, so, so, so core.
Wow. What a
Mhm.
great story. How interesting that you were drawn there might be a story behind how you got into that 1968 moment. I'm sure there was. And, you know, and it was a huge turning point in our consciousness on the planet during that time period.
Yeah.
So you were right in the center of that fulcrum. And to have that direct, once again, the direct lived experience with the interest and the query of figuring out more about yourself and having that gift of that opening to see things in a holistic and beautiful way, it gives us this neutrality and empowerment and vision that people don't have when they're trapped inside their story.
Yeah.
They need that to climb out of it, or to have someone else have the vision and go, you're good, keep going. It's like someone's blindfolded and you have a guide showing you, like, it's step to the right, you can trust me a little bit, we're almost there. And like, I can't see, I don't know, but thank you, I'm so glad you have that vision that I don't have at this moment. So you can help guide them, and then the transformative self-healing takes over.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Beautiful, beautiful, how lovely
Yeah.
to see that and know that. And it's so true, if we could just snap our fingers, but it doesn't work that way. We're entangled in this duality, and we have to kind of like figure it out, and not everyone does, you know?
Yeah. 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 I have one other thing that
Oh,
came to
please.
mind I would love to share with you, our listeners.
Yeah.
After years of doing TAT, Tapas Acupressure technique, one of the things I discovered that's super important, no matter what technique you're doing out there,
Mhm.
you need to do whatever it takes to be present in your own body,
Okay.
or it's not gonna really work. And so many people like are abused as children, and they can't go, I'm going to drink a six pack, or I'm getting in my car and leaving. They're stuck in this horrible situation with an abuser. So what they do is leave their body because it's too terrible to be there.
Mhm.
And so if they don't totally come back, then they're the kind of person that's going to say, you know, nothing I do ever really works for me. I've been trying all these different techniques, nothing works. And that's why. So whatever technique you're doing, or with TAT, you can just clear up whatever happened without remembering it or connecting with it emotionally, whatever happened. So I'm
Mhm.
not totally present in my whole body right now.
Yep.
And that's going to help a ton.
It helps with so many things. And the sometimes people don't even know they're not in their body because they either have never felt it or it's been so long, so they
Yeah,
don't even know what that sensation is.
right.
An awareness, and it has to be safe enough to be able to go there and to hold it and to not pop out. Or
Right.
you have your left arm, but that's about it, you know. Maybe a few extra fingers on the right. So
Exactly. Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's great advice. It's what I teach people with embodied intuition,
Mhm.
that we know intuition through our sensory experience, that generally that through mental space as well, but through the body.
Yeah.
I'm trained as a dancer, and so you have to be in your body very much intimately to
Uh-huh.
to know the finesse of how to move and where, and to know your body in space. And there's a huge amount of trust and safety that has to go on in order to not just embody, but bring awareness into the embodiment, and
Yeah.
then start to move and understand the world from that perspective. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, and I appreciate your deep understanding of it.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I remember being my first dance class. I was tiny, 3 years old, and I remember running around in the circle with little scarves, and there was someone sitting on the ground and drumming, and just that heartbeat and feeling the pounding of the wooden floor with those little tiny 3 and 4 year old feet going around, skipping and walking, whatever we were
Mhm.
doing.
Mhm.
And just, and the sunlight coming in. I mean, it was such a sensory moment that kind of stayed with my body. And I thought, why don't people do this more often?
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
not everyone has that kind of delight in the body.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Plus, as a healer, well, it's what you teach, but as a healer, what helped me to realize too and learn from science is that our bodies are mostly made of crystal, even our bones and our blood. So what do crystals do? They are antenna. So if you want to
Yeah.
be like intuitive and picking up info and interacting with your feelings, you have to do it from your body. That's the place.
Very, very astute. Yes. Amplifiers,
Hmm.
communicators, amplifiers of energy. Yes. Crystal beings.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
So, is there anything else? Do you have like a story to share or something about
I,
intuition? Something juicy? You've shared so much, but I have you here. It's like, oh, maybe there's something else. I don't know.
There is. There is. I thought of it on my walk this morning. I thought this will be perfect.
Oh,
So
great.
in 2008, one of the TAT trainers, a really upstanding member in his community, Columbus, Georgia, outside of Fort Benning, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, military bases in this country, called me and said, Tapas, I'm thinking of doing a workshop for veterans. Are you sure, absolutely sure this works?
Ah,
Because I'm putting my I'm putting my reputation on the line here. He was had had been a counselor, therapist for something like 25 years, very respected. I said, absolutely. So that was 2008. We did this workshop, just a free workshop for a couple of weeks for veterans. Um, so one man came. Oh, I'm starting to cry and I can hardly even.
oh,
We're good. That's an inspiring story to me. Anyway, one man came with a cane. I'd say he was maybe late 30s or so, early 40s, probably somewhere in there. And sat right in front and just had this kind of defiant character to him.
okay.
And so we did our session, and and in this session, nobody's sharing anything, nobody's talking, nobody's like a healer, woo-woo person at all. And anyway, he said, um, I felt you people had no right to say to people like us that you can help us. These were not just veterans, but combat veterans. It was for combat veterans. So I said, so I picked the worst story of my life just to prove you're wrong. So he was in a helicopter, shot out of it, uh, woke up being hacked on, stripped naked and hacked on by guys with machetes. Somehow he was saved,
Hmm.
rescued, and he said that was the worst of all of his stories. And he was a sniper, so he's got a ton of harrowing stories.
Yeah.
Um, and he said, I can just talk about it now. I can remember it. It's just, you know, there's nothing about it that feels bad now. So a couple days later, he rode his bike in. So remember the first day he came with a cane. A couple days later, he rode his bike in. He had a little basket on the back. And he said, I have a letter from you my daughter wrote for you. So for
Oh,
those
you
of you,
have it?
I have it.
Oh my God, Tapas.
This is the
Oh,
letter. For people who are watching this as a video, and I'll read it for people who aren't, but I have to wipe the tears or I can't read
Yeah.
anything.
Oh,
One
what a
second.
story.
Yeah,
Goodness sakes.
yeah. So this is, and it's so cute. For those who are just listening, it's one of these torn out of a book, blue lines written in pencil. I think she was 10 then. She says, "Dear Ms. Fleming, thank you for helping my dad. I'm happy you helped him because he's a lot nicer and plays with us more. My dad almost cried because you helped him. We're glad you came to help him. He lets me sit on his lap and hold his hand more. From Haley Davis." And then, excuse me, then a few days later, Brian Davis, the guy, asked if I had a few minutes before I left for home. I said yes. He said, "I have 3 children and 4 Purple Hearts.
Mm.
And I want to give you this one from that event." So there it is. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure you have many stories like that too. This is why we do our work, is so people can live happier lives like that. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if people are feeling energy movement or, have any intuition. It just doesn't matter. And they don't, like I said, don't even have to talk about it. And there's that much immediate, real change.
Wow.
So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a treasure sharing that. Thank you.
Yeah. You asked if I had a funny story too, and you're writing to me. I don't have one to tell now, but if people want to watch one that's hilarious, there's one on YouTube. If you just go to TAT Life Videos, it's the most watched video. It's about a guy who didn't want to touch knees with me, and his issue was fear of success.
Oh,
It's just hilarious. So,
okay.
yeah.
To balance that heaviness.
Well,
Yeah, wow. How
mhm.
incredible. What incredible strength for this person to come forward despite his skepticism and his anger. And it just shows that you can be quite closed off. I
Yeah.
mean, he had a willingness to prove you wrong. That was his willingness. That was his point of engagement. He
Mhm.
wasn't neutral or detached. He was highly activated. And so interesting that that resistance became his doorway to transformation.
Yeah, and to make it even more resistive, it was his mother-in-law that recommended he come. I think she worked in the office with the guy who put the whole thing together. Yeah. He said he didn't even unpack.
Yeah,
Because he was from out of town. He was going to be there for these couple of weeks. He didn't even unpack.
he must have been shocked at the transformation.
He didn't convey that at all. He was just a very realistic, honest person. And I found those, I mean, I hadn't had contact with a bunch of combat vets, but really heart-centered people as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
To
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, just the level of engagement. There are many people who don't take their for whatever reason, take their life and over to service.
Mhm.
Yeah. In different forms that can take. And how beautiful that not only was it an immediate warmth and accessibility in his family, that he has this beautiful daughter who wanted to share it, and that he allowed that to happen so that and now you sharing it, I'm assuming you have permission
Oh,
to
yeah.
share their names. I want to
Oh,
just make
yeah.
that clear.
I do.
I would
Definitely.
I would assume nothing less from you, but I just want to state that for the audience.
Totally. The
And Mhm.
letter and a photograph of the letter and Purple Heart are on my website
Oh,
with his permission. Yeah.
oh, it's so wonderful. And
Yeah.
there might be, do you have anything to say to someone maybe who now is relating to this story in a way that's causing them distress?
Oh, yes. Just know that it's possible for you to be on the other side of whatever it is you're in without reliving whatever it is you went through, without reliving it one tiny little bit.
Mhm.
And it's possible to know also that you don't have to keep doing things over and over about it. Like he did this once. People do stuff all the time. It's just this one time for most traumas. It's one time and it's a done deal. There's
Mhm.
some things that might take longer, but you don't have to experience it again. And it might feel heavy, at least with TAT, it might feel heavy for a couple of minutes while you're
Mhm.
just thinking about, okay, yeah, I'm going to work on this now. But it just gets lighter and lighter with every step because your whole system actually does get this new information like, yo, that happened in the past. You're not there anymore. You're okay.
Yeah.
It happens as part of this process. And super simple language, direct, easy. You're here, you're there, you're done, you feel better.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, this is such a delight. Is there anything else you want to share as we come to the end of our time together today?
Yes, many people have thoughts like it couldn't be this easy. So maybe some of the listeners are thinking, oh no, it can't be real, it can't be easy, it can't work for me.
Mm.
Just know that those thoughts themselves can be transformed with this approach. And when you have those thoughts, you don't have to try and push them aside, get over it,
Mm.
finally come to working on something, and it's going to be hard and it's going to feel bad. Nope. These are just some thoughts. You just add them to the mix of the big mess of stuff that's going to be transformed in a few minutes.
Mm.
Yeah,
How wonderful.
yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy that you went to that gathering in 1968.
Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. That's the first time anybody said something like that to me. Thank you. Oh, that's beautiful. Thanks, Lori. That's really touching to my heart.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
I mean, that was the origin of opening the door to Who Am I?
Totally.
And then from there you get to
Yeah, yeah,
play and learn and discover and grow and
yeah.
exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, transform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really grateful that I got to share this with you. You're such a sweetie. And you so get it.
Yeah,
And I appreciate that we're together, get to communicate this to whoever listens
yes.
and watches. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you so much. It's been a
Mhm.
delight as always.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for today's podcast. If you want to learn more, you can visit my website for podcast and resources at hopshealingtips.com. You can also like, share, and subscribe to this channel. This podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only and is not providing healthcare advice. Please seek guidance from your professional healthcare team should you need assistance.